Hello, YouTube. How y'all doing on this wonderful Monday? I hope everything is going good in your life. I pray you're doing well. Well, we have a lot to cover, so many topics, there's so much going on. And this is Life Under Trump, Part 73. Yes, Life Under Trump, Part 73. Elon Musk, his Tesla cars are being returned. People don't want them anymore. People is going as far as to sell them. This is Life Under Trump, Part 73. Thank you for coming to my live. From Mexico to Canada, Greenland, the Gulf of Mexico, him trying to rename it to the Gulf of America, and Google's part in it as well. They changed it on their maps, but it's still the Gulf of Mexico, okay? Trump is unconstitutional. He's showing that he's weak. He's not showing that he's a leader. And that is so important that we have a real leader. And we're not having that right now in Donald Trump. To me, he has a lot of repenting he needs to do with God. But as Donald Trump has said, he has never felt he needed to repent anything to God, because he was asked that question, do you ever turn to God to anything, or do you ever ask God for anything, or have you ever thought you ever needed to apologize in any way to the Lord? Donald Trump said he don't think none of that, he needs to do any of that, which we all have to repent to our Lord and Savior. Yes. Thank you for coming to my live. Hit that button as y'all come in. This is Life Under Trump, Part 73. It's a lot going on. Far as him and Elon taking money where they should not be taking it, and it's benefiting them. Donald Trump going to the NASCAR Daytona car race thing, and he's spending taxpayers' money on that. That is not important. Our taxpayer money needs to go back to the veterans, go back to the people in need. Elon is already a billionaire worth billions. So why is America giving Elon Musk more money? They taking money from the needy and handing it over to Elon Musk. That should not be happening in this beautiful country, America. Hey, Queen, can you hear me? Hello, Queen Vera. Hello, King Lucky. How y'all doing today? Yay. Whenever y'all get a chance, go check out my video from yesterday. I made a homemade peach cobbler, and I put it up yesterday. It is delicious. I'm going to have me a taste of it when I get off here. Yes. King Random says, hi, what is going on, King? Thank you, Queen Vera. Thank you. I'm glad you can hear me. It's a lot going on. What is he doing at the race car track? Riding around. Donald Trump is gluttony for attention, and it's going to eventually backfire. Be careful what you wish for. I totally believe that. Be careful what you wish for. He wants to be seen. Okay, sometimes God is going to make you be seen more than you expected. So he had, I guess it's his grandbaby. He had the little girl out there with him, and it is cold outside. She had on a sundress. It is chilly out there. Everybody else have on a jacket or something. He himself have on his jacket. And the baby girl out there with a sundress on, sleeves, the spaghetti strap. No, she's a young girl. She needs to have a little jacket or sweater on in this weather. That is not cool. But with his 34 felonies, I showed y'all Donald Trump has his mugshot on the wall in the Oval Office. Yes, his mugshot of all things in the Oval Office. That's something that really had me laughing, y'all. And just going back a little bit, he has a problem with the Latinos. He has a problem with the Native Americans. Want to send them somewhere. The Native Americans, those that were here before you Europeans got here. He's planning to try to send them out of the country to a concentration camp too, like he did with the Latinos, Mexicans, etc. He sent those people to a place they're not even from. I can understand if you send them to the native land, but to send them people to a concentration camp in shackles, how they used to do the slaves, had them in shackles round their arms, round their legs. Yes. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We got a lot to cover, y'all. It's so much going on. And honestly, our country right now should be embarrassed, which the vast majority of people are very embarrassed of the behavior of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, taking from the needy and fattening their pockets. Elon Musk was just given $400 million last week. But he's taken away and laid off people that's important. He laid off the people that's over the U.S. missiles and everything, begging them to come back. But they have no email and no contact to contact the people to come back to work. Elon is doing so much damage, but he think he's so smart. You cause a big ruckus in the White House. You cause a big ruckus with the U.S. missiles. They don't have anybody there. So any country can come right now and attack us. And then what's so crazy, Donald Trump has a problem with the BRICS, but he understanding that Putin is a part of it. But he ain't kissing Putin. Too much is happening, taking away funding from great people that need their funding. It should not be happening in the great USA. King Terry says, good, good, good. Okay, I don't know what you're saying good for, but it's not good to take from the veterans and people in need. So I hope you're saying good day. Thank you. Oh, yes, he's greedy. Vera said he's greedy. Ramon, thank you for the heart, dear. Raman, thank you for the heart. Random Pearson, how you doing? Mallory, another plane crash. That is so true. And thanks to Elon, because he's been messing with the aviation. Thank Elon for that, y'all. Thank him. Hold on. And now there's something out saying Delta plane flips upside down and crash, landing at Toronto's Pearson International Airport. Yes, Delta. Y'all, what is going to happen with this country? We got planes crashing everywhere. We have Elon Musk taking money from fundings that he should not be taking from and enriching his pockets. Life is upside down in this country, you ask me.
Some large conservative creator, Jeffrey Mead, hello Jeffrey, who is much larger than me, over 500,000 followers, took my video where I said what Doge is doing to spending is illegal, which it is, and basically mocked me and told me what a liar I was. But the only problem is that I have the receipts and I can prove it. There are only two ways that the president can stop congressionally appropriated funds from going out the door. One is through something called deferrals, which is where they save money to be able to be used for natural disasters and things like that. And that is generally not a controversial thing. The other way is rescissions. And that is what they are arguing they're doing now. But the problem is Congress has to approve those rescissions, and they have not. And in fact, the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this one time, which back in the mid-'70s, the feds tried to withhold funds from New York City, and the Supreme Court said, no. And if you want to see a mainstream news source talking about this, NewsHour's Instagram account has a whole thing on it right now. You can go check it out. But Jeffrey, I am now going to be waiting for your video where you apologize to me and tell me I was right and you were wrong. Thanks.
I think we're all sick of Doge right now. I'm sick of Doge. I'm sick of Elon. I am sick of Donald Trump. And this is President's Day, Black History Month. Happy President's Day to President Joe Biden. Happy President's Day to Barack Obama. Happy President's Day. Also, it's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Yeah, it's Black History Month as well. So let's listen to this liar, Trump. As we know, the egg price is still high. Everything else is high.
So I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby drill. We're going to drill. So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will.
So have prices went down? No.
What's your egg prices have reached an all-time high?
It was a long before I ever got here. It was at an all-time. This since I remember, I've been here for 3 weeks. man. When you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden. I had 4 years of virtually no inflation.
Now, y'all know for fact, I showed y'all the price of eggs right now. Since Donald Trump has been in office, the price of everything has quadrupled. Eggs was $3.99, $4.99. You can find eggs from $12.99 all the way up to $18.99. He just keep lying in your face. He playing in your face. MAGA regrets.
Regretting your vote?
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote. I voted for...
No. You regret the consequences that you now have to endure because you thought that the people that were trying to attack you were people that looked like me. Or were people of the feminine persuasion. Or were people that identified as queer. Or were people that identified as trans. No. See, you went on tirades, stood on mountaintops, screamed about how indifference was the way, how you wanted to go backwards. But what you didn't realize was that everything that you postured about was shit that you didn't even understand. We told you. And now you have to endure, just like we had to and have to. Congratulations.
You want to talk about regretting your vote?
That young man is right. What y'all didn't realize when you voted for Donald Trump to be in office, the pain he's going to put on the American people, it's been put on you too. So it's not just for the black and brown people. The pain, you're feeling it some worse than we are because you live in red states. I live in a red state. Our electrical bill went up because of him. In a lot of red states, they're experiencing that. Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. Yes, we're experiencing the backlash of Donald Trump. Him and his Daytona, Donald Trump. So I'm going to show y'all this photo and I'm going to read it to you, okay? It says, deadly flooding is ravaging the South. Thousands of employees have been fired. 500,000 tons of food aid sits rotten in the ports. Bird flu rages on. Egg prices hit the record high and inflation is on the rise. But hey, at least the felon is getting a ride around the Daytona 500 track. Yeah, he riding around the Daytona 500 track. Like some sort of king wasting millions of our taxpayers' money. But nobody have anything to say about that. That's wasteful spending the American dollars.
Here's just some basic shit that a lot of Americans don't really seem to get or understand, especially white Americans. If you elect a clown, expect a circus. If you elect a criminal, expect crimes. If you elect a liar, expect deceit. If you elect a rapist, expect misogyny. If you elect a grifter, expect to be conned. If you elect a fascist, expect your liberties destroyed. If you elect a racist, expect white supremacist laws to be installed. If you elect a greedy billionaire, expect an oligarchy. If you elect a malignant narcissist, expect a dangerous, self-serving leader with no human empathy or regard for humanity, who only operates by misinformation, gaslighting, propaganda, and manipulation. Elect a turd, expect a sewer and a shit show. And lastly, elect a snake, and you will be bitten.
The red states have been bitten. The red states are experiencing the true Donald Trump, the fascist leader. The leader is more concerned about going to a Daytona 500 track than making sure you get your benefits back that has been ripped from you by Elon Musk.
I'm in shock. My wife is in shock. We're all in shock. You know, the people spoke and they elected this president. And that's a fact. But I don't even think the people who elected him really believed that he was going to do what he said he was going to do. And what he's doing is much worse than what he even said. The dark profundity of what he's been doing in the last week is mind-boggling. That he would be shutting down PEPFAR, which has been doing extraordinary work, especially on HIV/AIDS in Africa, saved tens of millions of lives. This is dark time in the U.S., and I think it's a time for everyone to stand up. I was reading an article.
I agree. It is dark times, but it's the perfect time for every one of us to stand up. I have been preaching this to you all since I started covering this from the campaign, the election, all the way from the inauguration in his presidency of these past 3 weeks. We got to stand up. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. And I'm watching people do that daily. They are falling for anything. They're falling for the banana tailpipe of Donald J. Trump. And now he wants y'all to let him have his birthday is a national holiday. Donald Trump wants his birthday, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is in May. He wants his birthday to be a national holiday. Kick rocks, Donald Trump.
Look at this. Look at this. Actively black. Says it right here on the sleeve, too. Actively black. Man, what are you mad about now? I'm familiar with Actively Black. It's a black-owned sports brand, activewear, started by Lanny Smith. Yeah, but this shit don't piss you off. Why would it piss me off? What if we had actively white gear? We've had it. Man, what? Look, never mind. What's the point of your little tirade here? My point is, I'm so sick and tired of black, black, black. This is Black History Month. Why don't we have a White History Month? I agree with you. Wait, what? I agree. Let's have a White History Month. In fact, let's start right now. Okay. We'll call it the overview. All right. Okay, in order to talk about white history, we need to go back to where the white race began, 1676. You see, prior to this, white had been used as a descriptor of people, but never had been an official race. But after we colonized America and stole land from the indigenous people, the Europeans here had a problem. The poor people kept having rebellions against the rich people. So what they decided was to create the white race. This was a way to convince people that you were part of something bigger than yourself and that the rich people weren't your enemy, but those other people were. Now, who was allowed to be white? That changed over the years. You see, for the next century and a half, chattel slavery was based primarily around race, and it started from the transatlantic slave trade. And throughout the 17th and 18th century, even into the 19th century, certain people that came over that we identify as white now were not identified as white then. For example, the Italians or the Irish initially were not considered white, but because white is a completely made-up race, they later decided Italian and Irish people are white. This idea is called white supremacy, where we create this mythology of a race that's superior than other races. Like, hey, poor white man, you might not be rich, but at least you're not an enslaved black man. In 1860, the idea of abolishing slavery was becoming more popular, and white people didn't like that. Abraham Lincoln, who was an abolitionist himself, became president, and the southern states here in America seceded from the Union. You've heard the story. It's called the Civil War. Now, after the Civil War ended in 1865, white people didn't just give up their white supremacy. No, they then began a series of things called Jim Crow laws. These laws were intended to target black people. Black people were found to be criminals for anything, and they held public lynchings during the Jim Crow period. That continued until 1954, when the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education desegregated schooling. Of course, white people were not happy about that. There's lots of videos and photographs of it. And then in 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, which was supposed to provide equality across the races. Of course, white people were pissed about that. Now wait a goddamn minute. You're only talking about the bad things that white people did. What about the good things? Now slow down there, Cletus. I haven't talked about all the bad things yet. This is just the overview. We haven't even got to gentrification, redlining, legacy admissions, the war on drugs, the FBI infiltration of black liberation movements. The white race has a very long history of oppressing and marginalizing black and brown people. This is just the overview. Like all the inventions and things that we did. You're right, white people have invented things, but do you know how many inventions white people stole from black people? Pop quiz, who's the king of rock and roll? Elvis Presley, baby. He stole his entire style, music and dance, from black musicians who were not allowed to play publicly. And so he was the white face on their black music, their black style, and he's the one he remembered. Same thing happened with inventions. Yeah, when you brought up the Civil War, white people fought to free black people in the Civil War. Wrong. This is a talking point that was started by the United Daughters of the Confederacy in the early 20th century, that white people fought to free black people in the Civil War. But the problem is you cannot simultaneously be the cure and the disease. You've heard of Harriet Tubman? Yeah, of course I have. Why do you think Harriet Tubman led the Underground Railroad and not a white person? Because black people were continuously and always fighting for their own freedom and to get out of their own oppression. And along the way, some white people might have helped, but black liberation has always been led by black people. And the North didn't fight to free the slaves. The South seceded from the North and then attacked the North. The North just fought back. That was just self-defense. So basically what you're saying is I should just be ashamed to be white because we ain't never done anything and we ain't worth a shit. What you're feeling is a natural reaction to your entire worldview being challenged. White fragility and white rage is very well documented, but I don't want to get into that in just the overview. The main thing I want you to take away from today's class is that white race was created for white supremacy, for colonization. Its entire purpose was to make this fake majority so they could rule over an entire other class of people and exploit them for their labor. So if that's how the white race began, and that's how the white race has continued to be used for the last 200 plus years, then I'm not telling you there's no good thing that white people haven't done. That's just you trying to avoid the accountability of what our ancestors truly did, because actual white history isn't taught in school. But thanks to what you and I have started today, maybe we can get the truth out there. Oh, hell no, goddammit. I wasn't meaning this shit. I want no part of this. What's wrong, Cletus?
And that's reality.
Man, look at this. Look at
That
this.
is the
Actively
reality
black.
of what is
Says it right
happening.
here on the sleeve too. Actively black.
More Elon Musty. I'm going to show y'all this. And it's a cartoon that's saying, this is Elon's word. Excuse me, I cut out the unnecessary federal spending, leaving only the absolute crucial. Okay, the critical. Okay. This is his money. He got 15 billion from America. That's what he got. And then he got 450K for Tesla. That's right there. And what did the American people get out of this trade? Nothing.
Just in, the Trump administration has now reversed the firings of all but 28 of the nuclear weapons workers that Doge blindly cut last week. You remember this story? One of the hardest hit plants was Pantex near Amarillo, Texas. 30% of the cuts took place there. This is great reporting from Tara Kopp of the Associated Press. You should check out her article for the full thing. She writes that the nuclear weapons role of these workers and the feds who oversee it is one of the single most sensitive missions in the United States. Up to 350 employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration were blindly laid off late Thursday before the Trump administration were told what they had done. Then panic set in and they tried to bring all these workers back. Then they realized they didn't have their contact information. By the way, those employees at the Pantex plant, they work on reassembling warheads. It's one of the most sensitive jobs across the entire nuclear weapons enterprise with the highest levels of clearance. Something else to note, that plant is in Congressman Ronnie Jackson's district. That's the guy who was Trump's White House doctor in his previous administration. He was the one who was reported to be running like a pill mill out of the White House, and he also wrote that bizarre letter after Donald Trump's shooting in Pennsylvania that left a lot of questions unanswered. Well, that's the latest we got right now. Follow us for more updates and add the Midas Touch podcast for more. So this just in, the Trump...
Yes, please subscribe to Midas Touch Network. Again, Midas Touch Network. This will be more on Elon Musk. He is the problem.
Elon Musk accidentally fired 300 federal employees responsible for keeping our nuclear weapons safe. Yes, Elon's Doge initiative decided to go crazy at the Department of Energy and didn't realize that energy doesn't just mean electricity in your home. It actually means our nuclear weapons. And these folks were responsible for checking the weapons, upgrading the weapons, and making sure that everything worked okay. And they didn't know it until after they fired 300 people who lost their email and everything immediately. And for Thursday night, we were short a ton of people who were trying to keep our nuclear weapons safe. Not very cool. Now, National Public Radio is also reporting that the National Nuclear Security Administration is a semi-autonomous agency within the Department of Energy that oversees the U.S. stockpile of thousands of nuclear weapons. This is great. Despite having the words national and security in the title, it did not get an exemption for national security from the Doge people. They just fired everybody without knowing what this agency even does. Now, some of the employees work on preventing terrorists and rogue nations from acquiring weapons-grade plutonium or uranium. Many had Q clearances, the highest level security clearance at the department. But they fired them because the little children didn't know what they did. Elon Musk accidentally fired 300 federal employees responsible.
And they want them to come back and work. After Elon has caused all these problems, fired the people, they have no contacts to contact the people because he deleted all those files. They want them to come back to work. They cannot contact the people. And who do we need to think for that? Musk.
You guys, the comments on the NASCAR Instagram comment section after Donald Trump tried to pull this propaganda stunt at the Daytona 500 have passed the vibe check. I gotta share it with you. So right here is the photo posted on the official NASCAR Instagram account. You can see we welcome the President of the United States to the Daytona 500. And so before I show you the ruthless comments that Trump received on the NASCAR page, let me give you a bit of context. So Trump delayed the start of the Daytona 500. NASCAR changed the race time and put drivers in hazardous weather conditions. The race got delayed. Trump ignored the deadly storms in Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia for these photo ops, and taxpayers ended up losing millions of dollars. Okay, let me show you the comments that NASCAR received. This is brutal. Ready? No, we don't. Hence why there is a rain delay. I have words to say, but I believe I'll keep it to myself. To be clear, he is unwelcome everywhere. A lot of gifts, a lot of booing gifts. What's next for him? The Masters? Is he going to go to every major U.S. sporting event in 1 year? Boo this man, boo. Can you get this dog shit off the timeline? What are you doing? Boo. We do not. So glad I skipped LMAO. Boo. I'm guessing everyone else was busy, pleasantly surprised to see the comments like this. This comment section makes me very happy. Looks like it rained on his parade. Steve Carell making this face. You got this vomit gif. You got Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And sorry, gif, tomato, tomato. I'm not going to change my ways. Did Elon give you permission to come out and play? Boo. Also, these comments passed the vibe check. How much did this cost the taxpayers? Daytona 500 and Super Bowl box suite. No, we do not welcome him. This guy doesn't even know how to drive stick shift. Surely this will help the cost of food and the war in Ukraine. Surprised Elon let him out. This will certainly help egg prices, I'm sure. Boo. Nope, we don't care. FDT. They let anyone in, I guess. Thumbs down gif. Pleasantly surprised by the negativity of this comment section. Lock him up. Guys, this is the NASCAR comment section. NASCAR. Listen, people are seeing through the BS. They are seeing right through the stunts. They are seeing that Donald Trump.
Finally, people are seeing through the BS. I've been saw through DJT's mess. I was just waiting on y'all to find out. FAFO.
Trump just spent millions of taxpayer dollars to fly himself over the Daytona 500 NASCAR race in Air Force One instead of lowering grocery prices, instead of unveiling a healthcare plan, instead of making housing more affordable. And while he and Elon Musk say they're removing wasteful government spending by cutting off funding to agencies that feed starving children across the country, or by cutting off funding to health agencies that fund vital research programs and keep labs, universities, and hospitals open, and while they cut off funding to agencies that recoup billions of dollars for American consumers who have been preyed on by predatory financial institutions, he is flying over tax breaks, billions of dollars worth of tax breaks for billionaires. So somebody should call Doge and tell them where the real wasteful spending is happening, and it's right above the Daytona 500. So Donald Trump just spent millions of taxpayer dollars to fly himself over the Daytona 500 NASCAR race in Air Force One instead of lowering grocery prices, instead of unveiling a healthcare plan, instead of making housing more affordable. And while he and Elon Musk say they're removing wasteful government spending by cutting off funding to agencies that feed starving children across the country, or by cutting off funding to health agencies that fund vital research programs and keep labs, universities, and hospitals open, and while they cut off funding to agencies that recoup billions of dollars for American consumers who have been preyed on by predatory financial institutions, he is flying over Daytona 500 using your taxpayer dollars, while his administration rolls out tax breaks, billions of dollars worth of tax breaks for billionaires. So somebody should.
Well, Doge, I guess you're doing a fine job. Taking money from the children that have cancer, taking away money that protect them, income tax money. He has what some people are now paying that never had to pay before.
Just breaking, the Trump administration has started firing several hundred FAA probationary employees who maintain critical air traffic control infrastructure. This latest update is coming directly from the union representing FAA workers and is being reported by CNN's aviation correspondent. These firings come not even 3 weeks since the deadly midair collision over Washington, D.C. near Reagan Airport, and amid a series of other aviation accidents since the Trump administration has assumed office. This is just the latest in a series of crazy updates. So if you want to follow and stay on top of all of it, make sure that you're following our account right now. This is just breaking, the Trump administration.
Subscribe to Midas Touch Network. That's their account, Midas Touch Network. Some of the best people on their team. They are attorneys. They know what they're doing. I love that channel. And I thought that Trump was pardoning Eric Adams, Mayor Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, because, you know, he said it's going to hurt him trying to campaign to be reelected. But something is going on, y'all.
Pardoned a lot of people. He could have pardoned Eric Adams, right? But he chose not to. How have you thought about that?
Well, there's only one explanation. I mean, you know, Bove has his story about how the case was brought too close to the primary. That's just an absurd argument, and Judge Hoke can hear from him. What's really going on is they don't want Eric Adams just on a tight leash. They want him on a choke collar. And you saw on TV it working. And not only did Eric Adams say, I'm sort of conceding and giving New York City over to ICE agents to do these kinds of arrests in this city, but I want to make sure people understand that is against local law. So you have a mayor of the city of New York who is under indictment. He is out on bail saying that I am going to permit the ICE agents, and with my blessing, violate local law. He has no authority to do that. So the whole thing really stinks to high heaven, to put a fine point on it.
Trump had pardoned a lot of people. He could have pardoned Eric Adams, right? But he chose not to.
I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Mayor Adams is a black man. He ain't thinking about him. Trump is pretty much saying, I ain't thinking about you, little stupid. I got a million other things to do. He ain't thinking about Mayor Adams. Trump is about that money. If you can't help him how he feels he wants to be helped, you are not beneficial to him. You are not beneficial to him if you're black or brown. Please hit that like button for me, please. Come on now, hit that like button. YouTuber user says you tell what the problem is. Okay. King Josh says hello today. It's beautiful, just like you. Thank you so much, King Josh. King Blake said this woman is all black, this black, that black. Bless your soul, and thank you for coming to watch my YouTube channel. Shala says, lady, I dare you to meet Trump. Girl, even if you ain't no girl, I'm gonna call you a girl. I don't want to meet Trump. Why would I want to be around a man that smells bad? Shala says, ice baby. Okay. And Vanilla Ice ain't wanting to meet you. King Larry said, what's wrong here? What skin got to do with anything? It has a lot to do with it. Donald Trump does not like black and brown people. You know this yourself. But what does a MAGA racist do? A MAGA racist love to pretend they're not racist. And they dare you to call them out on being a racist. Well, MAGA, you're racist. 24/7 is in your DNA from your ancestors who were so racist, they took Ted Turner, burned him, roasted him, and ate him. But it doesn't surprise me if you're from the Caucasus Mountain. King Ray Ray says, let's see that tattoo. Keaton says, that's called your opinion. I have my opinion, you have yours. But that is a fact. It is a known fact that some of y'all ancestors were in on burning Ted Turner. You roasted him and ate him. What do we expect if you're from the Caucasus Mountain? That's how you became a Caucasian.
Prices have reached an all-time high.
It was a long, before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. This since I remember, I've been here for 3 weeks. And when you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation.
He's been here for 3 weeks and is much higher since he's been in office.
No inflation. So I'm just taking over. But I'll tell you what, this country has made more progress in the last 3 weeks
than it's
made in the last 4 years.
It appears that our president has a sense of selective memory. This is the president who said on day one he was going to bring the price of eggs down. On day one, the price of groceries would go down. On day one, his presidency would end the war in Ukraine. At some point, the American people have to realize they've been duped. This president is a salesman of sorts, but not a salesman of goods, a salesman of false dreams, and suggesting to people that he has a magic wand, and then when it's time to perform, he blames it on the last person. I'll remind you that our economy was strong both times he took over the presidency, and within a very short period, he took it to the bottom. And he's on his way doing it again.
Egg prices have reached an all-time high.
It was a long, before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. This since I remember, I've been here for 3 weeks. And when you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation.
3 weeks of fattening him in Elon's musty pockets. 3 weeks. He hasn't done anything for you all, nor me. 3 weeks. He ain't being celebrated today. Nobody wants to celebrate Donald Trump.
And I don't care who this pisses off, but the second you partner with Benjamin Netanyahu for America to take over fucking Gaza, your argument about abortion and saving kids goes out the fucking window. Because that man has been blowing kids off the face of this fucking planet for a year. And y'all are just, turn a blind eye. We'll make Gaza beautiful again. Riviera of the Middle East. Miss fucking me. If that was Kamala up there, the right would be up in arms right now. Oh, look, she's partnered with a war criminal. I'm not left and I'm not right. I'm a motherfucker with common sense that wants to see death and destruction stop. And you think America going over there and taking over a country which we have just fucking bombed for a year, you think that's going to go smooth? Might I ask you to go look at the other time in the world where America went to go rebuild? Go check that out. I'm sorry, and I don't care who this pisses off, but the second you partner...
The thing that bothers me the most with the Gaza situation, you want to go over there in Gaza and take over and say you're going to rebuild it. When we over here in shambles in our own country. America is a train wreck, a mess. Your own citizens do not trust you, Donald Trump. You flat out lied. They knew you was a liar, but they refused to vote a black woman in the Oval Office. That is all it is, and all it was about November the 5th. I dare vote for a black woman. I dare have to say president to a black woman. We ain't doing like we did with Obama. No, we're not getting another ninja in there. That was the problem.
Been really interesting to see just how spineless all of our politicians are to be able to protect us from what's happening. It seems like the only thing that our government has tried to do to prevent this coup is sue everybody. And I think we're being shown just how slow and incredibly ineffective that tactic is. When this country has collapsed and the people are picking up the pieces and deciding how to build their new country, I think one of the main things that we will remember is that we created a governmental system and a court system that was too slow to respond to the needs of the people. Elon Musk should be detained right now. Josh Johnson, who is a stand-up comedian, made such a good point the other day. He was like, if me, a black man, had made a Nazi salute in front of the country and had broken into the private information of US citizens as an unelected government official, I would be in handcuffs in a cell right now. We need someone who is able to stand up to power right now, and we don't have them. We have a bunch of rule followers because there are so many rules and requirements to navigate in our system that we train people to be rule followers instead of renegades. Chris Rock made a really good point years ago.
Well, I'm a renegade. I ain't about following the rules. Donald Trump and Elon are not about following the rules. So why should you, Dems, stop following the rules, buckle down, and take over? Run over them like they have ran over the American people. In 3 weeks, they have rolled over us American people millions of times and put millions in their bank accounts, billions in their bank accounts. Elon Musk has now made a good $150-something billion, now probably $170 billion since Donald Trump been in office. And Donald Trump has enriched his pockets as well.
To put themselves in a position to have as much control as possible. They want Trump to be the CEO of the United States of America, and they want to be the board of directors that makes him listen to them. It's not a good
What is the ethos? Because it seems like in the old days of innovation, there was a certain amount of we're innovating the internet, we're taking things. Now it seems much more about sort of this social engineering and trying. 8 of us
Hold
are
on.
going to run everything. Dominate, right? Is that the ethos you see?
Yeah, I think
I go with You just said
You know, they've gotten to the point now where they feel like they should control the world, right? And that there should be a CEO in charge of everything, but trying to put themselves in a position to have as much.
We need a president. On this President's Day, we don't need somebody want to take control of everybody's household, and when their household has never been great. A man that has children with 3 different wives. A man that has 34 felonies. Sweep around your own front door.
So Trump and his Doge department accidentally fired the employees responsible for our nuclear weapons stockpile? I thought this billionaire was some kind of genius, and now he can't even find their names and phone numbers to get them back. What kind of tech experts are these guys? I mean, I still have contacts in my phone that I downloaded from my BlackBerry of the first guy who installed a modem in my apartment. And these simpletons can't find a name and a phone number or email address for the people responsible for our nuclear weapons? I'm sure our social security numbers and the entire financial system and information of the United States of America is perfectly safe with Trump and Doge, these highly sophisticated technology businessmen and billionaires. I'm sure they're really, really safe. So, good luck with that.
Subscribe to Pull Up Pasta Politics.
I'm sure that Elon Musk is going to jail. Let me explain. First up, I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. It is, however, funny. See, it turns out that Elon Musk and his government agency, Doge, were never confirmed by Congress. As such, they have no legal authority to do the things that they required legal authority to do, which, if that's confusing you, it just means it's a crime. And if they were directed to do these things by the Trump administration, by Trump himself, perchance, that means that those are grounds for impeachment. The specific laws are laws like the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You're not allowed unauthorized access to federal government systems. The Privacy Act of 1974. You are not allowed unauthorized access to federal government databases. U.S. Code 2071. The concealment, removal, or mutilation of government records. Without authorization, you're not even allowed to handle government records. Are you sensing a theme? Well, I'm about to surprise you. U.S. Code 1752, which is basically breaking and entering. It's unlawful to knowingly enter or remain inside of a government building that you don't have authorized access to. And they were told multiple times that they did not. Which of course means that those kids that Elon sent are on the chopping block. But it also means Elon himself is on the chopping block because he ordered it. And Trump might be too, if he personally ordered it. Now, your senators, your representatives, they already know this. They don't know that you know. You should inform them that you know. If they know that you know and you've told them, then they know that you know that they know. And then they have to do something. Stock up on some popcorn. It starts. I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk
Stock up on some popcorn. It is going to be a bumpy ride. This year will not be so special, but you got to make it special yourself. Living under Life Under Trump, Part 73.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was on Meet the Press this morning, and he made clear in no uncertain terms that he would not abide by any agreement made by the United States and Russia about Ukraine without the involvement of Ukraine. Watch this.
Thing that President Trump said this week. He did not say yes when he was asked if he sees Ukraine as an equal member in the peace process. He did say later that Ukraine would have a seat at the table. Have you been given any assurances that Ukraine will have an equal seat at the negotiating table?
So I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine. Never. And our people, never. And our adults and children and everybody. It can't be so. This is the war in Ukraine against us, and it's our human losses. We are thankful for all the support, unity between USA, in USA, around Ukraine support, bipartisan unity, bipartisan support. We're thankful for all of this, but there is no any leader in the world who can really make a deal with Putin without us about that.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was on Meet the Press this morning, and he made clear...
He's right. Donald Trump cannot decide what's going to happen with Ukraine. He had a meeting with Putin, who's part of the BRICS, and Donald Trump doesn't like the BRICS. But Putin is a part of it. And he said he has given it to Putin. You can't just give Ukraine to anybody.
Add this to the category of, could you imagine if Joe Biden did that? So there is currently flooding right now throughout the country in various states: West Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky. And so what is Donald Trump doing while there are Americans in need? So Trump decided to spend millions and millions in taxpayer funds in order to do a propaganda hit at the Daytona 500. Trump and his advisors then posted videos like this: Trump doing a flyover on Air Force One at the Daytona 500, the view from above. Trump also rode around the track on the Beast, the official presidential car, and then the White House posted this video saying, President Trump of the Beast and Daytona 500, it doesn't get more American than that. All the while, parts of those states are completely underwater. I swear, if President Biden tried to pull a stunt like this while red state...
He's right. Y'all would have a hissy if President Biden had done the things that Donald Trump is doing. You would have had a hissy if the great President Barack Obama would have done the things that Donald Trump has done. If he would have went to the Super Bowl, y'all would have had a problem. If he would have went to Daytona 500, y'all would have had a problem with that. Y'all would be pulling your hair out, man.
And Elon absolutely loves his Tesla Model Y, but even though it's packed full of high-tech features, the South Shore resident can't stand driving it anymore.
I like the car. It's Musk that I don't like.
Juan has a Tesla, his wife has a Tesla, and he was in the midst of ordering a Cybertruck. But his love affair with the company founded by Elon Musk officially ended on Donald Trump's inauguration day, when Musk delivered the infamous gesture that many described as a Nazi salute.
That Nazi sign, that was too much for me. Too much for me. I mean, I canceled immediately my Cybertruck, and both of my Tesla are actually up for sale right now.
Juan absolutely loves his Tesla Model Y, but
y'all, it is so many people getting rid of their Teslas. Elon's stock is plummeting. But to make up for it, the American government has given him $400 million. So he ain't losing much, is he? It seems like the rich is only winning, not us.
Here's some instant karma. The Republican governor of Georgia, who said that he was supporting Donald Trump in the 2024 election for business reasons. He thinks Trump would be good for business. Of course, I'm talking about Brian Kemp. Well, he just got handed some instant karma when the Trump administration denied necessary FEMA aid to Georgia that former President Biden was providing to the state of Georgia. Let me just show you the letter that Brian Kemp received from Donald Trump's FEMA as Trump's trying to gut FEMA. This is in response to your January 24th, 2025 request for an extension to the cost share waiver under major disaster FEMA-4830-DR that was declared on September 30th, 2024 due to Hurricane Helene. So it's an extension of what Biden agreed to immediately. You specifically requested an extension of the 100% federal cost share for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days. And you reiterated your request for an increase in the federal cost share for permanent work to 90%. Based on our review of all of the information available, it has been determined that the increased level of funding you have requested for major disaster FEMA-4830-DR is not warranted. Therefore, I must inform you that your request for an extension of the period of 100% federal funding for debris removal and emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance to 180 days, is denied. Governor Kemp was requesting an extension of what Biden provided for debris removal, help from the federal government, and Donald Trump said, here's my middle finger, go F yourself, to all of the people of Georgia.
I just spoke, the president just called me yesterday afternoon. I missed him and called him right back. And he just said, hey, what do you need? And I told him, you know, we got what we need. We'll work through the federal process. He offered that if there's other things we need, just to call him directly, which I appreciate that.
Well, here's some instant karma.
Just a moment.
IRS system that Doge was trying to access. According to an administration official, an employee gained access to the sensitive integrated data retrieval system that I mentioned earlier. This means that they have access to every single taxpayer's tax return information. That includes bank account information, individual details of your tax returns, and your bank account numbers. So I would recommend changing your bank account numbers if you're worried about your money being accessed. But either way, it is an incredibly bad breach of trust and privacy here.
Elon has your bank account numbers. How do you feel about that?
National Archives and Records Administration has fallen. Senior employees and the inspectors general for the National Archives are gone. If you do not know the scope of what this impacts, I'm sorry to have to tell you. National Archives is the nation's memory. It doesn't just hold government records, it holds the entire fabric of American life and history. Our heritage, military records of every soldier that ever served, naturalization and immigration records that trace millions of Americans' family histories, slave ship manifests, Freedom Bureau records, and the names of formerly enslaved people and the people who enslaved them, all Native American treaties and agreements, Japanese internment camp records, court cases that shaped civil rights, voting rights, and LGBTQ plus rights, thousands and thousands and thousands of oral histories, hundreds of millions of photographs and films that document real American life, struggles, triumphs, joy, and suffering.
Someone stated, None-off says Elon isn't the richest. Try one of them. Yeah, I told them. Thank you for that. I have told them numerous times, Elon Musk is not the richest man in the country. And this is something for a good laugh. Because that's who controls Donnie and Elon. Putin owns Donnie and Elon. Elon controls Donnie as well. Donnie has been bought. It doesn't surprise me. What a ho, 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 and a Merry Christmas. Lover's Lane. And this is the situation we are right now, America. We are captured. Help! Just a moment, you all. Just a moment.
Well, you guys, Congress is finally working on something that will help us all. No, not for healthcare. No, not for climate change. No, not for better wages. Nothing like that. But to make Donald Trump's birthday a federal holiday. You know, Representative Claudia Tenney is trying to get a bill passed that would make June 14th National Flag Day and Donald Trump's birthday celebration or whatever. I think that that's so ridiculous. Like, why would we want to celebrate Donald Trump's birthday when there's so many other issues to be addressed? On Christmas, we open that day and celebrate the one thing Trump really did give us, and that's an endless supply of jokes.
He's right. Because of Donald Trump, we have endless supplies of jokes. Thank you, Donnie, because I'm going to take a day and roast you soon. And this is for my DMs. I just want y'all to hold on, be patient. God is going to do something to make it better for us. Trust him. They're not getting away with this.
Kamalaharris voters, it's going to be okay. I want to make you feel good and understand what's really going on. So pay attention, my fellow liberals and leftists. Woo! Take it out. This past week, Elon just got audited. Yes, he got audited. Here's how that works. And I want to point out to some of you who I got to get in your ass about this. Because some of you say, well, you report these things, but unfortunately, they still doing stuff. No, motherfucker, they ain't doing stuff. I'm trying to tell your ass to listen to the fuck I'm saying. What I'm telling you is we're winning. And we're winning because 13 different judges ruled against them, saying unconstitutional, there's a paper trail. We're winning because the AGs and the attorney generals are suing. Stop listening to these negative ass people tell you, oh, all hope is gone. It's a coup. They've taken over. No, motherfucker, they haven't. They haven't. They haven't. They ain't head. That's the fucking judge that's sitting there ruling against them 13 times, saying, get that fucking trillions of dollars back. That's the judge saying that. That's the attorney generals and the governors. Like here from Chicago, Illinois, the governors and attorney generals are suing. That is the ACLU that is suing. That is college students that are suing. Even Quakers that are suing. And that is the pressure from you and me. Google who your two senators and your House of Representatives are. Mine are Duckworth, Durbin, and Davis. Reach out to your people and email them with Trump's policies in the title, and in the body, bullet point everything you don't like Trump's doing. You can cut and paste that shit. You ain't got to write shit. The idea is that we're pouring pressures on them. Pick up the phone. They're complaining about it privately, like, shit, we catching hell for this. Yeah, we are. Yeah, motherfucker. We know you ain't the majority voters in Dems, but we want to see you step up, and we're winning. Here's how we know we're winning. It was the pressure on the Senate. They got the Senate to get the the Inspector General to audit Elon Musk in the Treasury. It's a slow process, yes. Justice is slow, but it's definite like a motherfucker. When it gets started, it's coming for your ass. And Elon's going to jail. Elon's going down. Trump may not go down. Why the hell do you think he tried to rush this shit in the last rush it? If it's perceived versus believed, it changes the game. You know he only has so much time. He's a lame duck president. And as soon as the Republican Congress get heat on them, and they are getting heat on them, they're going to get in line, and they're going to say, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to defend the Constitution. It's going to happen. Now, you might say, well, what happens when he's in constitutional crisis? Everybody's mentioning that word, right? I talk about that. I got a playlist on YouTube under Darren Monroe Politics. Darren Monroe Politics. Go over there now. Pause. Go over there now and subscribe to me. I got playlists over there talking about what happens if Donald Trump says, fuck you, and he's going to do what the fuck he want to do. There's some consequences.
Subscribe to Darren Monroe Politics. That's Darren Monroe Politics. One moment, please.
Once you try a comfort hoodie, you can't go back to regular hoodies. They're slightly weighted, super oversized. It's that perfect fit that makes you feel like you're wrapped in a blanket, but you get to look like you have your...
All right, guys. So Elon is being hit with a class action lawsuit over his various illegal acts here. And he's also facing, or they're floating the idea, the Democrats are, of potential impeachment. Now, I don't quite know how that would work because he's actually not a real government official, right? And so that one's a little bit murky to me. But let's get into some of the commentary here, and then we'll break it down, and I'll talk about ways we can actually fight back. Here we go.
What I'm thinking about and talking to my friends at Democracy Defenders and other lawyers about is, could there be a nationwide class action lawsuit to follow up on last week's victories against Musk, against the Trump administration for this breach in computer security and the data of all American taxpayers? It could be a class action suit on behalf of all Americans. If the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers want to opt out, and they don't want their part of the money for the contamination of their data, fine, they can opt out. But really, it's a suit on behalf of everybody because that's our information. It doesn't belong to Elon Musk or his little midnight crew. It belongs to the people, and the government has to hold it in trust. Now, there's specific statutes which say that information can only be accessed for tax purposes, for the purposes of the internal revenue system, and for no other purposes. What are they using that information for?
You know, somebody made a list. I got to go back and look for it. I got to ask Crystal where I think she found it. But of all the laws already broken by Elon, and this was as of like a week ago, right? The list is definitely longer now. But understand something, guys. What he's floating here, the idea of a class action lawsuit of the American people against Elon, that's a legitimate idea. Because everybody needs to comprehend how wildly unconstitutional and illegal Elon's actions are. I mean, I know all of you understand this, but you have to spread the word and you have to tell everybody because it's super important. But the way that the system works, the House passes a bill, the Senate passes the bill, the president signs the bill, the funds go to the Treasury, and then the Treasury disperses the payments. That's it. There is no such thing as a Treasury bureaucrat on the back end going into the payment system and saying, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, I consider this fraudulent, I consider this waste, I don't agree with that agency. We're just going to dismantle all the things I want to dismantle, defund all the things I want to defund, freeze all the things I want to freeze, and then beyond
because
that,
Elon dismantled and freeze all the things that he has done, we no longer have a department for our weapons, defense weapons. Why? Elon. They don't have the numbers, the contacts, the emails, or anything to contact the individuals that was working in that department. So we're not securing our country right now. America is not the safest place right now. We are not the #1 country right now, thanks to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We are like a third world country hanging by a thread. Heaven, help us, Lord. I want to thank each and every last one of y'all for coming to my live today. Hit that like button before you head up out of here. You are valued. You are appreciated. You all are beautiful kings and queens. And may God continue to bless you. And I pray that we make it through these 4 years. But I pray he is impeached very soon. Thank you, guys. I love each and every last one of you. Bye.